Hi, this is Evan.
And this is Joe.
And this is the Nonsensory Podcast. On today's episode, we discuss everything announced at Ubisoft Forward, do a quick review roundup of Ghost of Tsushima and Paper Mario The Origami King, and talk about Metacritic changing its user reviews to prevent review bombing. So stick around, and let's get all the way into this.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Nonsensory Podcast. You can hear our soothing voices every week by finding us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, and Stitcher. If you want to see us, oh yeah,
Let me frame that for you.
you can also subscribe to us on YouTube or come check out our regular Tuesday stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/nonsensory at 7:30 Eastern Time. On social media, we tweet at Nonsensory1. You can find us on Facebook at Nonsensory Podcast. You can also support us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/nonsensorypod. We have 4 tiers of membership ranging from $1 to $20 and perks ranging from getting to vote in polls to getting to read a personal greeting at the start of our show. Evan.
Joseph.
What's up, buddy?
I'm a little bit off today.
I think we're both a little bit off
Where's
today.
the struggle bus? This is like, one of us is Miss Frizzle driving the struggle bus. It's probably me. I'm feeling a little frizzled today. But things are great. How are you, Joe?
Today's legitimately awful, but it's getting better. I actually like doing this. Yeah. But everything before this has been just terrible.
So, hopefully in entertaining all of you, we entertain ourselves and get our minds off of how bumbling of an enterprise we can be at some points. And Joe's dying. Hang on, we might have to pause so that I can give Joe the Heimlich.
I say, why don't you just roll right into this, Evan?
Yeah, sounds good.
Would you like? I read. So you take the first article, buddy.
Okay. So these are the most notable happenings from Ubisoft Forward. Ubisoft Forward, Ubisoft's 2020 E3 replacement showcase, was held last week, and we've pulled out the most notable happenings from the show. Watch Dogs Legion got a new trailer and gameplay overview going more in depth into its play as anyone you want character swapping open world mechanics. It'll be out on October 29th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. A next-gen release was listed as coming soon, and Phil Spencer confirmed the game will support smart delivery, Microsoft's buy it for last-gen, get it for next-gen free program. They also showed off Hyperscape, a new battle royale game from Ubisoft Montreal. Quote, fight your way through the unique districts of Neo Arcadia, a virtual city featuring imposing landmarks that bring verticality to the next level, reads the description on the Ubisoft website. Engage in high-stakes combat as you explore its streets, interiors, and rooftops. Hyperscape offers 2 ways to win. Fight to be the last one standing, or capture the crown that spawns near the end of each match. Ooh. Keep possession of the crown for long enough, and you and your squad will claim victory. An open beta is available right now for PC players. No official release date has been announced. Assassin's Creed Valhalla got a new gameplay trailer and a release date, November 17th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Next-gen consoles coming soon, and it's already been confirmed to support smart delivery. Far Cry 6 was announced with a new trailer showing Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo, dictatorial leader of fictional Cuban-inspired island Yara. Castillo is grooming his young son Diego to succeed him as El Presidente. Players lead a guerrilla faction attempting to topple Castillo's regime. It comes out on February 18th, 2021 for PS4, Xbox One, PC, and next-gen consoles. So those were the biggest announcements from Ubisoft Forward, which comes on the heels of all the harassment and yada yada that came out in the weeks prior at Ubisoft Toronto, which is actually involved in the production of Watch Dogs Legion. So it was kind of like they had like a black eye going into it, and it was kind of it seemed like there was like a cloud of cynicism over top of this whole kind of show, especially since most of what they saw or most of what they showed outside of Hyperscape, we already kind of knew what was coming.
Yeah.
There were some smaller announcements like a new Trials Rising track and stuff like that. But as far as like big announcements, I think that, everybody knows about Watch Dogs and Far Cry and Assassin's Creed coming out. But the biggest thing for me was Hyperscape, because I'm a big Battle Royale fan. And I don't know. tons of people think that we're like at the point of saturation with them, and they're just like over them. I completely understand, but I'm interested to see what new this game brings to the table, and hopefully we can check it out sometime soon. Open beta is available right now, so.
Okay, so I think as far as that goes, I want to go back and address the event and the overshadowing of it. But first, as far as Hyperscape goes, that my brain. You're talking about oversaturation in the market, but one thing I've noticed, I am one of the people that's a little bit critical that it seems like everyone's doing it now.
Yeah,
but
I mean, because they are.
Yeah, but a few years back it was, everyone's doing first-person shooters, and they still are, and I don't hear those same people complaining. So just sit down. I'm telling myself. Yeah.
Sit down, Joseph.
Every one of these that comes out, they're doing something different.
Yeah, for sure. I think they all offer something different and unique, So
as long as they keep evolving the idea, I don't see anything wrong with a continuous renewal of an idea. I mean, that's fantastic. I'm all for it. And as far as the other offerings, I was expecting more. I thought that they were going to be like, oh, here's all these things that you didn't hear about yet, and that really wasn't there.
Yeah. I like that it has like its own, like Hyperscape's own take is like what they were saying with the Capture the Crown thing, which basically seems like a King of the Hill meets Capture the Flag kind of thing.
Yeah.
That they are, it's just like it's another twist where they're going to have the traditional last man standing kind of thing that every one of them, that every BR has, but they're also, like Warzone had the blood money thing, and they consistently just keep changing up the modes that are available next to the traditional battle royale mode. So I think that we've kind of settled into this thing where, like, if you're going to release a battle royale, they're going to come with the standard last man standing mode, and then to differentiate themselves is beyond just aesthetic and how they handle their gameplay is going to be the kind of different modes that they introduce. And I think it's really cool that they're kind of introducing this like King of the Hill kind of capture the flaggy kind of mode, because I always love that in like games like Halo and stuff. So I'd be interested for that. And like, it seems like if you have the crown, everybody on the map knows where you're at. So it turns into like just this big chase, and that sounds like a lot of fun. So,
yeah, it does. I'm interested to see what this is. I think we've agreed. Mm-hmm. We are going to stream this Tuesday at 7:30. We're going to give it a shot.
Yeah, so if you want to check it out, man, come by at 7:30 on Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern. We're going to check it out and see just how bad we do.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be... If you like seeing people really just mess up all over the place, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Anything else that you're excited about with this?
I'm mostly speaking about myself.
Did you check out the Far Cry 6 trailer?
I didn't watch the trailer. I am interested, though. It does, from the write-up, it sounds good.
It sounds like they really leaned into like the aesthetic of Cuba as being like they talked about it being like a place trapped in time, right? So there's like a bunch of like older cars, and like just the stuff that they have isn't quite caught up with with modern times, because they have like, embargoes against, trade and stuff like that, because they're a dictatorial regime and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty interesting what they'll do with that, and I think that it'll give it like almost like Cold War-y, like Vietnam 80s era kind of
it could be really
weapons
cool.
And
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, so if you're fighting as a guerrilla group, yeah, you don't have access to only what they have access to, and probably even worse. Yeah, so that could be comical.
Okay, can they just make a game that is focused on guerrilla warfare that also just stars gorillas? It's just nothing but gorillas fighting each other, or maybe they fight the humans. Maybe, dude, am I just getting into Planet of the Apes right now?
Yeah, no, I was just about to say that. It would be cool to play a Planet of the Apes game where you are just the apes, and just like, let's do this thing. We're gonna take over the world. It would be great.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, so before we move on, I do want to jump just real quick and say, like, yeah, I think a little bit of negativity towards Ubisoft has been earned.
Oh, yeah.
But I think holding it against them at this point, once they've kind of just outed everybody, I mean, don't hold it against the rest of the studio. There's still people who are involved in these projects who, you know, have put their, you know, their hard work into it.
Yeah.
You know.
The argument has been made, I think, for the last couple years is since there were I can't remember which E3 it was, but like a bunch of the publishers had like larger showings at E3, like when Bethesda decided to have its own thing and Ubisoft decided to have its own thing. Like they all started to have their own thing. And I think really what people are coming to see is like they're not releasing that many games. So like none of it really warrants having like some big bombastic thing. And a lot of this I think could be more well received at like in a Sony video or a Microsoft video or something like that, where it's like there's already so much hype based around those consoles and stuff like that. So like if I don't know, if I was to see Far Cry 6 at like there's a rumored Sony State of Play in August. If I were to see that then closer to release, you know, I think that I would be more excited just because right now, I mean, it comes out in February of next year and it's July. So like, I didn't really need to know that this existed now. It's kind of like, I don't know. It seems like they go in and they have enough stuff to show, but really it's just over long for what they have. I think that you could come in and just talk about these 4 big titles and just be done and do it in like 20 minutes. They don't need like, they all have like an hour or more for these showcases. And most of it is just fluff, you know, when realistically, like them just showing these trailers and being like, this is what they look like. This is what the games are like. This is when they come out. 20 minutes, half hour tops, boom, done.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that people are just tired of like tuning into these things and just sitting there waiting for the good stuff, you know, and I think that makes them a little cynical a little bit, but,
yeah, but I kind of was, I see what you're saying. I was more referring to all these sexual harassment and misconduct allegations and everything with that hanging over their head. Like now that Ubisoft has, I mean, yes, they had to be prodded into doing the right things and people stepping down, you know, voluntarily.
Yeah.
The people who are working at Ubisoft are still like you and me. And, you know, everybody, like, don't punish these people by by boycotting their games or anything silly like that, because they still worked really hard on making these games. Yeah. And they've come around to doing the thing that they should have done by getting outing all these people. So,
yeah, and game development's like a really sink or swim kind of thing. So, like, if people are like, well, I think that Ubisoft really screwed up with what they did with Ubisoft Toronto, let's just boycott that game, then it's like, cool, you're sending a message, but also like all the people that worked on that game, if it gets like review bombed or doesn't sell well, then they don't get bonuses, then they make less. And it's like they weren't you know, they weren't the ones that were involved in that, you know.
Yeah.
So like all the coders way down the line and stuff, like those people, you know, I don't think that I agree with sending the message, but I don't agree with like just straight up boycotting a product, because it ends up hurting people that weren't involved at all.
It ends up hurting some of the people who were harassed.
So it comes down to like there's not that many jobs in the game industry. The game industry is like huge, but also very small.
Yeah.
And you know, in order to have a job in the industry, you got to go all over the country and it's all these expensive places to live and stuff. And so it's hard to just uproot yourself and go somewhere else. But like, if a game, some of these studios work on such a thin margin that like their next game is like what decides their fate. So like, if Ubisoft Toronto just like gets shuttered because this game underperforms and, you know, they can't keep it open, then like those people just lose their jobs and have to go uproot themselves to go find something else just because you didn't like how Ubisoft handled sexual harassment. It's like, I don't think that we need to like shutter a studio to solve the problem, you know?
a lot of people who had nothing to do with it end up suffering for that. And while I like some kind of, let's just call it bad karma. I don't know what else to call it, is deserved.
Yeah.
But some of the people who would hurt from that are either people who had nothing to do with it or even the victims who still work there. Mm-hmm. Now not getting bonuses because you're boycotting the game. So it doesn't make sense. It's like getting victimized twice.
Yeah.
Like, so don't boycott, like, let your voice be heard. Like, remind everyone that this is intolerable, but don't shutter the studio over it. Don't boycott the games over it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you just remove, like, if you want to hear us talk at length about this whole thing, our last episode, which we'll link to somewhere, you can go check it out. We do a whole long video about the harassment allegations and what we think about it, which you can check out. We'd really appreciate it.
And it was really good. Yeah. We argue it was great.
Removed from that, though, I think that it was kind of just a lukewarm reception to the whole thing because so much of what they showed was either leaked or has already been seen. We knew that, Watch Dogs Legion people have known about it since last year. They delayed the heck out of it because of everything that happened with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And so it got delayed into this year. And we're the newest, like, we knew everything about all this stuff. I mean, even Far Cry 6 leaked like a couple days before the show, and we like basically knew everything about it. So like the element of surprise and excitement was kind of gone,
If you're going to do stuff like this, you have to do one of two things. You either have to make sure that no one knows anything going in, or you have to have something up your sleeve. Or because, basically what you said, like, we know everything. We knew everything before this.
Yeah, I mean, if we went into this show and we already knew about Watch Dogs Legion, we already knew about Assassin's Creed, Far Cry leaked, but they show Hyperscape and maybe like a new Splinter Cell, you're like, oh, okay, well, that was pretty cool. But like now all we have that's new from this whole thing, that's really like big and noteworthy is Hyperscape, and it's just like another battle royale, so it doesn't stick out that great. And I mean,
it's like you have to, the volume, like, it's there, you're not doing all that much. It's like, I think you already said, not to keep recapitulating what you've already said, but you could do this in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, all of this.
Yeah.
There's no need for this huge fanfare, which goes back to what I was talking about. Like, we need the we need the E3s.
Yeah. To get us all in one place so that we don't feel like we're wasting our time, because it's just nothing but new stuff happening all the time. So I really like the Watch Dogs series. I played the first Watch Dogs, and I think that it was I understand the criticisms, but I think it's like piled on really badly, and I thought it was a pretty enjoyable game. And it seems like the criticism of that game was that it's like too dour and like kind of too serious, so they've taken it in a completely other direction where it's like more pulpy and fun with these last two games. And this one seems just silly because like you can just take control of anybody. You can control a grandma and beat people with your purse and stuff like that. All that stuff seems like silly and fun. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla seems more also kind of silly, because you can dual wield shields, man. Like, like it seems like the story seems fairly serious, but like it's kind of goofy. It seems a little bit goofy. So,
okay, from what I've seen of it, I mean, there might be goofy elements, but it definitely seems like third person gritty.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't put down that is cool is that all the Far Cry games are on sale right now. So you can get Far Cry 5 for $9. You can get Far Cry 4 for $6, or Far Cry 3 for $3 right now on Ubisoft Store. So I'm probably going to go get 5 because I wanted to get 5 whenever the Steam sale was out, but it was still like $15 or $20. For $9, I'm definitely going to grab it. So I think we're pretty good with that. Do you want to transition over to the review roundups.
Okay, so we have 2 review roundups, and I think it would be interesting. I'll do this one and you do the next one because I think that'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah, these are interesting. We chose 2 games for the review roundup because they're the biggest releases of the month. Well, outside of Last of Us, but they're also basically one game I'm very excited about, one game Joe is very excited about.
Oh no, I'm excited about both.
Okay.
I really want Ghost of Tsushima. Like from everything I've seen, I'm all about it.
All right. Well, let's
okay.
get into it.
Ghost of Tsushima is the newest release from Sucker Punch Productions, makers of the Infamous and Sly Cooper series, and their first release since 2014's Infamous First Light, an expansion to Infamous Second Son, which also came out in 2014. Sucker Punch is a first-party studio purchased by Sony in 2011, and Ghost of Tsushima is the final Sony first-party title to grace the PS4 before the arrival of the PS5 this fall. Currently sitting at an 83 Metascore on Metacritic based on 95 critic reviews and 9.2 user score based on nearly 4,000 user reviews. Considered universal acclaim on Metacritic.
So we basically pulled out 2 favorable reviews and 2 negative reviews because I like the idea of not just seeing the reaction and just seeing the raw numbers and pulling something from that, but also having,
seeing why someone says it's good,
yeah,
and seeing why someone says it's bad.
Yeah, because if you look at the Metascores, you'd be like, oh, so everybody likes, Ghost of Tsushima, but you might hear some stuff in the negative reviews that might be something that sends a flag up for you. Maybe I need to look into this further. So
right. I agree. So 2 favorable reviews. Chris Carter at Destructoid gave a 9. Is it 9.5 or a 95?
It's a 95. So it's weird because the user reviews were in a decimal system, like 9 point whatever, and then the critic scores were like 95 instead of like 9.5. So
I think that's because they actually weight critic reviews
a little more.
Yeah.
So
with Ghost of Tsushima under its belt, Sucker Punch deserves to be in the same conversation as Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Sony Santa Monica. If this generation is to wrap up soon, it's fitting that it'll end with Tsushima, one of its most beautiful games thus far. Again, that was Chris Carter at Destructoid. And Bradley Ellis, Easy Allies, 85. Ghost of Tsushima, I jumped down by accident. That was all my fault, not the computer. Ghost of Tsushima has a lot going for it. Combat is fast and fluid, and the story is engaging thanks to the great characters. Most disappointing is that taking a stealthy approach can sometimes make victory feel simple and unearned. Despite that, the island itself is the biggest draw, taking you on a captivating adventure through its beautiful world. And then we have 2 negative reviews. Keza McDonald, The Guardian, gave it a 60. Which it's still above, above, because I think they redid their thing, and it's like if you get above, like 50 is supposed to be just eh.
Yeah, I think like 75 in traditional is like the new okay to most people, and like anything below that is like bad, which is not bad but not good.
Okay, so unlike Assassin's Creed, which always uses its historical settings as stages for its own eccentric stories, Ghost of Tsushima sticks so closely to the tropes and storylines of classic samurai fiction that it sometimes forgets to have a personality of its own. After I caught myself repeatedly checking my phone out of boredom during the story missions, I decided to abandon them entirely for a while and had a great time chasing foxes, bathing in hot springs, composing deeply average haiku, and climbing mountains in search of a legendary bow instead. This is the most beautiful version of Japan ever conjured in code, and when running errands and slashing Mongol spearmen to bits gets tedious, you can always just drink in the view. Then we have another one from Kirk McKeon.
Yeah, I think that's it.
At VG247, also gave it a 60. Quote, it has its moments, but like Jin Sakai... Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
Sakai?
Okay. I think it's Sakai.
In the opening hours, the past holds... Why do you work with me? The past holds it back. It's open world. Why? Is it just me, or does this not make sense? Do you want to
it's open world, the video game.
Okay, thank you. For some reason, I just can't. Maybe it's because I need glasses and I can't see the punctuation. It's far too easy to the lack of consequence for failure makes it feel like you're just going through the motions.
I'm going to kill you. Control scroll. Hit control.
What?
Why is it not? Make it a little bigger.
Okay.
You're like going up to the screen like, hang on, let me look at this when you can just make the words bigger. Anyhow, continue.
I'm just going to start over. It has its moments, but like Jin Sakai in the opening hours, the past holds it back. It's open world, the video game. It's far too easy, too. The lack of consequence for failure makes it feel like you're just going through the motions. If you'll excuse the wind-based pun, it's a breeze. While playing it, I often found my mind wandering. By the third and final act, I just wanted it to be over. Like the samurai Ghost of Tsushima feels like a relic of a bygone era. I am so sorry for all of that.
No, that's entertainment right there, Joe. I was entertained.
It was just...
So in the doc, I put that I find that there's an interesting juxtaposition between the final Sony exclusives that they've had for the PS4 and what they've shown for like the PS5. And I think that I can't decide if this is a new way that they're going to go with like a more lighthearted, more diverse variety of games that they're making. Because a lot of what we get is like very dour third-person action games, right? And we just got The Last of Us, which is that. We got this, which is it seems like a fairly serious narrative. And then with the PS5 launch, we got like Astro's Playground and like Bug Snacks and like
Goodbye, Volcano High.
I understand. Like I can see it either becoming a new strategy.
Yeah.
By Sony to say like we have a blind spot in these more family-friendly games. Maybe we don't need to make The Last of Us where people explode into flesh chunks. And like even like the mature first-party game that they showed was Horizon, which is more like more of like an Indiana Jones kind of adventure.
Oh yeah.
Than anything like super serious, like it's still like fun and lighthearted in a lot of ways. And there's like a sense of adventure instead of like a sense of like dread and like so much of a focus on just the violence of it all. So I don't know if this is how we're going to try to move with first party titles into the next generation and beyond, or if it's just setting the stage for like a very palatable bunch of games for people to look at when they're buying the PS5.
I don't know that it's going to be something that they I don't think it's going to be all family friendly all the time now.
No.
Like certainly not. I don't even think half of the time.
Oh no, for sure. But I'm just saying like just a general like more of a focus on that kind of
yeah.
You'll still get stuff like this, but
I think you'll still see mostly stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to say, hey, look, we can have not everything has to be this way.
Right. What did you take from the reviews? Like, what do you? But just based on like reading some stuff, is there anything you agree with or disagree with?
Well, I haven't actually played it yet, but being sitting here and actually reading 4 reviews and 2 positive and 2 negative, it actually makes me sit back and wonder, like, if it will really be that good. Like, this is why I actually spend a lot of time before buying a video game watching lots of YouTube video, like watching Let's Plays and stuff like that, because I feel like it's the best kind of review to just watch someone play something.
Yeah. No, that's true. I really like to like just see somebody doing something on Twitch and just, if they're just playing for 20 minutes, like what's their experience in that 20 minutes? Does it look like they're having fun? Do they look like they're bored? Like Keza says, she was like checking her phone and stuff. You know, like are there points where you just get bored? For me, it's kind of like a lot of times when I read reviews, I just get like a lot of their gripes come from having too much exposure to stuff, you know, like what they're saying. I mean, it's very tropey with samurai, you know, with like the samurai setting and stuff like that. And it's like an open world game, the video game and stuff like that. Like you're not going to see anything like super new. It just has like a fairly clean polish on it. And everything's like very smooth. And they said a lot of the same stuff about The Last of Us 2, where it was like, you know, there's not doing anything groundbreaking with like subject matter. And it's more of the same from like a gameplay perspective, where it's just like third person shooting or whatever. But like, what if I don't know a bunch of Kurosawa films? What if I don't play a bunch of open world games? You know, like these are all objective or subjective reviews from a single reviewer. So they're obviously like, these are people that sit down and like play a bunch and like a ton of games. It's their job. So like, I can see where them being overexposed to all these games and all these genres would make them a little bit jaded about having to play games like this. So when it comes to something like Ghost of Tsushima, if you've played a ton of Assassin's Creed or a ton of Far Cry and you're inundated with open world games like all the time, I could see where this would be like very, you know, rote and kind of, you know, predictable and stuff. But for somebody like me who doesn't play a whole ton of like third person action games like The Last of Us, like I haven't really played one since the Last of Us really. And like stuff like Ghost of Tsushima, where I don't play a whole ton of like Assassin's Creed or like open world games because I don't have enough time and I really only need to play a few of them every now and then, you know? So like if I were to come into something like Ghost of Tsushima right now, I'm not like tired of all the stuff that it tries to do. So I might be more cool with it. You know, those negative reviews might hold like no weight to me.
My opinion on it is, at least from what I know, just, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt because all I know is very small about the game. But looking back, like when has there been a samurai game that's actually like anything close to this? Like a what do you call it? Like a adventure type walk around and actually do things type game. Like the only samurai games that I can think of are like these hack and slash, just constant sword fight, stupid, you know, clear 100 enemies.
Well,
games.
They compare it a lot to like a bunch of comparisons that I've seen draw it between like this and like Sekiro or Nioh. And like it's not those games. The combat is much easier and stuff like that. And so like if you're looking for like something difficult, then this game's probably not for you. But if you're looking for like combat that's like fun, but also not going to be so challenging that you can't just like keep going through the story continuously and, and you just want to get through it, especially with an open world game, because there's so much stuff to discover and so much ground to cover and stuff. I don't want to have to like keep going back at it like a Sekiro and just dying all the time and having to replay encounters and stuff like that. And again, like if I'm not a huge samurai film buff, like am I going to think that the story that it tries to tell is cliche? No. So I might find it more enjoyable than others, you know?
I so far, I actually still am very excited to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But I will say that I'm going to still watch some people play before I make that final decision.
Yeah, my buddy bought it and has really said like the combat is just like the combat in the world and like and the graphics and exploring the world is enough for him to like love it. And he thinks that the story is fairly bad and stuff like that and whatever. It doesn't matter. You know, he still likes it a lot. So, you know, it depends, I guess, on what you can take. If it's really going to get in your way that the story is kind of meh, then all right. But if it's not, you just want to play some samurai game, sounds good.
Well, I mean, if you're someone who's into JRPGs and you have anything to say about story, just go away. Just go.
Sit down, as Joe would say. Sit down.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the next one. Paper Mario: The Origami King for the Nintendo Switch is the latest installment in the Paper Mario series, following up 2016's Paper Mario Color Splash for the Wii U. Developed by Intelligent Systems, a Japanese video game developer closely affiliated with Nintendo, best known for developing the Fire Emblem, Paper Mario, WarioWare, and Wars series, Paper Mario The Origami King features a new ring-based battle system that mixes puzzle-solving skills and traditional turn-based combat, and aims to put a new twist on the series' established formula. It's currently sitting at an 81 critic score on Metacritic based on 54 critic reviews and a 6.2 user score from nearly 400 user reviews. So the two positive reviews that I pulled out, one's from Sam Loveridge at Games Radar. He gave it a 90. He said, gripes aside, though, the latest Paper Mario title is a joy to exist in. An excellent story, charming characters, and the ability to team up with your oldest foes makes the Origami King a triumph. Yes, it may not be the new Thousand Year Door RPG, but it's something special that should be celebrated. Following that up is Cyril Vasquez from GameSpot. He gave it an 80. With a newfound combat system that steals the show and offers a novel take on turn-based combat, its winking, nodding, and adventuring shine all the brighter. Its world and characters might not be the series' best, but it's still able to consistently throw left turns, good gags, and smart surprises at you. Each piece of the Origami King elegantly fits into the whole, taking its irreverent flair to new heights. The Paper Mario series has recently shown that being clever and being smart are two different things, but thankfully, it's once again managed to be both. And following that up, we've got the two negative reviews. This one's from Jeffrey Parkin at Polygon. Polygon doesn't give scored reviews, so it's just in as unscored. Mario is a brand, not a genre. The strongest connective tissue between them is made up of the characters and basic story beats, while being designed in ways that make them fun for players of any age. These games can often be as hard or as easy as you'd like to make them. For so much of Paper Mario The Origami King, that's true. I want to share it with my nieces and nephews as well as my grown friends, but I hesitate due to the frustration of the combat and those imposing boss battles. Those moments where I wish I had someone else to take over on the controller. And finally, Andy Robinson from Video Game Chronicle gave it a 60, saying, sadly, outside of these boss encounters, the ring system never significantly evolves in complexity, either in terms of enemies you face or the attacks at your disposal. It's here where the lightness of the game's RPG elements, namely the removal of experience points and leveling, really do hurt its decision to stick with only part of the genre formula. Just like recent Paper Mario installments, very quickly there becomes little reason to engage in combat, and we spent more than 2/3 of the Origami King running away from pursuing critters because it simply wasn't worth the effort. So yeah, that's the roundup from Metacritic. Joe, since this is like, as we like to say around here, since this is so close to your heart, like it's literally, it might as well be like a parasite sucking on your heart, like a remora on a shark. How do you feel about these? You seemed a little let down, based on the reviews.
So when I first jumped on this morning and was like, we were both working on wrapping this doc up, mm-hmm. and I found these reviews, so I think it was Friday it actually launched.
Okay, so it came out, so the 17th. Yeah,
well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I was sitting there and I looked at my wife. We're just talking about how, so I technically my pay went up, but now I'm paying taxes. So my pay went down.
Yeah.
And it's we were talking about the bills, and it's like we can't really afford to get any games or anything.
Yeah.
And Ghost of Tsushima hit and Paper Mario hit at the same time. It was and then I broke my phone screen.
So things are stacking up that are more important than the Origami King.
Yeah. So when I looked at the reviews,
you're making origami swans out of your dollar bills and just sending them off to all the people that want your money. Here you go, Swan. Here you go, Swan.
When I saw the reviews, the first two that I found were those negative reviews, which I threw in there, and you were nice and actually put in the positive stuff. I was like,
I'm such a ray of sunshine.
I was very let down. I was like, well, maybe it's a good thing I'm not spending that money. Mm-hmm. I still kind of feel that way. I don't like the idea can you really call something an RPG if your characters don't level up?
Right. It seems like what you wanted is more of another 1,000-year door, like what they said. If you're looking for another 1,000-year door, this isn't really it. But like, is that a deal breaker for you?
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. That's kind of disappointing. If I wanted to keep playing these kind of watered down versions of the game, then I'd get a 3DS and, you can make something for me on there.
Here, follow me on this, okay? This is out there. But what if they released like a short version of games like this, right? Where they just put it on PSN and it's just try it out. See what the combat system's like. They could call them demos. and it would help inform the customer on if they want to buy the game or not.
We'll see. Here's the thing. Nintendo is actually really good about providing demos for a lot of their games.
Have you checked to see if maybe they have an Origami King demo? Maybe you could actually see if this works for you,
I don't know if they do it for like their bigger stuff because so
I'm going to look it up.
Well,
no, it doesn't seem like it.
Okay. In any case, they have had demos for things like so they had like a Yoshi's Craft thing, and then there was Captain Toad's Treasure Adventure or whatever it was. Was that someone knocking?
I don't know.
Was that you?
I think something fell.
Okay. Those actually really did. I think they did demos for those because they helped to show off that, hey, these are actually really fun because they sound like things that you would run screaming from. It's like, so I think it's about time to wrap up. I think, we have one more thing to cover here. We have Metacritic delays user reviews by 36 hours to thwart review bombing. So Metacritic announced earlier that this company will be changing its user review policy to help better protect games from review bombing, a prevalent issue over the last year that has meaningfully impacted people's perception of titles prior to playing them. Review bombing is nothing new and has happened across many platforms for years, but didn't gain prevalence in a meaningful way on Metacritic until this year. Once The Last of Us Part 2 was targeted by review bombers who disagreed with the game's content direction, many of whom didn't even play the game at all. It became clear that Metacritic and the industry at large needed to figure out a plan to prevent these occurrences. Metacritic announced at least part of what could be a solution earlier this week via GameSpot. The company will now enforce a user review policy for its games section that will see a 36-hour period where only critic reviews are posted for the title. Metacritic referred to the decision as one that was based on data-driven research and was not based on the reactions a particular game received from users.
I don't. Insert. I don't believe you. I think it's entirely tied to The Last of Us review bombs, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. I really, they should have just be honest.
Yeah, the way that Sony aggressively pursued people that were like coming out with leaks for The Last of Us 2, and were like taking down whole channels and stuff like that because of this, like copyright strikes all over the place. I find it really hard to believe that they didn't go to Metacritic and were like, dude, we can't have this. Like, you guys need to figure something out. And I mean, I think that this is specifically for games, but I mean, it's been a problem with Metacritic for a long time with like, whenever the all-female Ghostbusters movie came out and everybody just was like, saw the trailer and didn't go see the movie and they were like, this is stupid, I think that this is like not even a real step. This is like not even a half step. It's like, okay, people are just going to review bomb it 36 hours after it's been released. Like, this doesn't stop anything.
Yeah, I think it's pointless.
It gives time for the critic reviews to breathe, but then the people that are on the other side that go and review bomb these games are just going to say, we're trying to be silenced. They're trying to shill for the media, and stuff like that.
I think what you need to do, if you're Metacritic or anyone else that takes user reviews, is you need to find a way. I don't know how it would be done, but find a way to, like, you have to prove that you've played the game or watched the movie or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like, this doesn't do any of that, but it does speak to the idea of, like, if you're a person who, if you're just a normal user and not a reviewer that's gotten a copy, there's no way that you can possibly have a valid opinion on this game the day, like the moment of release, where you instantly come on and just go, game bad, don't buy, like immediate, game bad, don't buy, like
that's
immediately.
a good point. Like, I think that, but it still doesn't prove that you actually played it, because you can still just wait the 36 hours.
Yeah,
it does. You're absolutely right. Like, there's no way you could just jump on, like, at midnight the day that Last of Us launches and jump on. Oh, it's so terrible. There's lesbians. Oh,
right. Yeah.
But you still don't prove it. It still doesn't address the real problem.
Yeah, I don't know. People out in the comments, people out there listening, you can always send us an email at nonsensorypod@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter. We just ask you, how much do you put towards Metacritic? How much weight does it hold in how you evaluate stuff? Do you check Metacritic often? Are you aware what review bombing is? Do you care about it? Do you take part in it? Let us know. We just want to get an idea of, like,
who's the guy that's going to be
out
like,
there?
yeah, I'm one of those people.
I want to know who those people are so I can ask them, please don't review bomb our show. Okay, that's all for today. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. We would like to hear from you, so comment if you would like, and you can email us at nonsensorypod@gmail.com or tweet us at nonsensory1. Also, we stream Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern, so please come check us out on at twitch.tv/nonsensory. And if you can, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/nonsensorypod. And as always, we love you. Peace!
And be easy.